Who is Randy?
Don't bring anyone mother into this.
Your mom in the fucking stand!
Nadav, did you see the Tyson exhibition with Nate Johnson?
Nate Johnson.
The other day. That's my old boss at Public Safety.
Yes, I did.
You watched it?
It was
You
quite a
did?
spectacle.
It was cool.
I didn't see the Nate Robinson fight, but I saw the Tyson and Jones.
You didn't see that?
I saw I started watching right when they're like, holy shit, he got knocked out.
Well, I will say this. I actually really started to think about this. Might sound crazy to people. I started to think about YMH Live during the fight. No, during the event, because of the fact that I realized, oh, this is something to do. I realized that it was providing, like, as outrageously different as the two type of things are. I go, oh, this is what this is. Like, I was now the consumer going, you know what? It's like, it's something to do that's kind of exciting, kind of fun.
Yeah, taking you out.
I thought they did a great job of like putting on an event, like, even if you weren't like into everything that they're doing or all the musical acts, really, to put that together, it was no small feat. Like they had that all constructed at the Staples Center. They had stages for performances. They had rings for the fights, and had the commentators. Izzy Adesanya did a great job. Snoop did a great job talking. They had Sugar Ray. I don't know who the main anchor guy was on that. I didn't recognize him, but regardless, I thought they did a good job of putting on a show, like making it something, a spectacle to watch. We should mention that YMH Live 3, you guys were so good to us that there was no reason to take it down. So if you're watching this right now and you still yet have not seen it, you can watch YMH Live 3 at ymhvirtual.com until Friday at midnight. That being said, the fight before, the Jake Paul Nate Robinson fight, oh my God, that was the heavy segment.
Yeah. I missed that. What was I doing?
You might have been with one of the kids.
Yeah.
So what happened was, Jake Paul, right? Logan Paul, Jake Paul, they're like internet sensations. They have these huge social media followings.
Oh, yes.
I don't even know what they did to get famous. I just knew that they were famous at some point.
They started off on Vine, and then they parlayed, once Vine shut down, they parlayed that into YouTube, and now,
So they were just Viners?
Yeah.
So they're big YouTubers. I knew that they would do, that Logan would do vlogs and stuff, and then he eventually started a podcast and everything. I don't know much about him. I remember him, always getting into some shit, like whatever. He was a polarizing guy, would get in shit. I remember the dead body in the forest, and that was like a huge
I
thing.
remember that. That's how I know that guy's name.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's this dude's brother. And then I think Logan, the older one, announced he was going to fight someone first. I mean, I just thought it was publicity stunt. It kind of is. But they took it seriously, like the fighting. And you could tell if you've watched boxing at all that, Jake was ready to box. I mean, you could tell that he was coming into the ring, establishing a jab, just kind of doing what you do in boxing. And Nate Robinson is a former NBA player. So I didn't even realize that Nate called him out and was like, I'll whoop your ass or something like that. And so that's what set this up. But when the nerves of a fight take over. So he was charging at Jake, charging at him. I thought he was going to tackle him multiple times. And he wasn't boxing. He was not boxing. He was running at him, and it was inexperience. It was, never having been in that position, never having really boxed other than trained. And you could see that, Jake was definitely the more trained boxer. And then he knocked him, by the way, I mean, not to shit on the whole thing, but that ref should have called it after the second time he went down. The second time he went down, he gave him an extended count by my count. I was like, oh, that's 10. That's 11, 12. And he was like, you all right? And then he told me to show me your gloves. and he had to explain it to him, and you could hear the mic. He's like, "You need to put your gloves up here if you're gonna go back." And then he was like, "Yeah, yeah," and you're like, "Oh, you should wave this off. Like this is not gonna go well." And then he fucking knocked him out for like a good minute. Like he was blacked out, completely knocked out. Not when you see like a knockout and the guy gets up. That dude was asleep, face down. And that kind of shit has lasting damage. You know, I mean, it can have. It can. That can fuck you up that can change things in your brain for sure. But anyway, then we watched Tyson Jones. You did watch that one with me.
I'm a huge fan of Mike Tyson for obvious reasons.
Yep.
One being that he's a huge fan of you, and your joke about him. But I mean, he's an amazing fighter too. So
yeah, it's like nostalgic too. You know,
it's the best.
That's what we grew up with. Like,
oh yeah,
our dads ordering his fights and then being like, "Fuck,
yeah,
it's over,
it's over." And now the ear biting, was that Tyson?
Yeah,
I remember that. That was a good one too. I mean, so many great fights. But what I loved...
It's a great one to bring up.
That's just what I remember. But Tyson is such a beast, and the physicality of this man.
He's 53 or 54.
He looks amazing.
Jones did not look as good. He did.
No.
Like, he did show some sparks of his old self where he would do the... he had this very, like, signature thing where he would box with his front, like his lead hand down, and basically almost taunt you with his face, which is a very dangerous thing to do unless you're super skilled. And he did that a few times, and you know, it was entertaining. He definitely wasn't in the same physical shape, and a couple times. But I do think that Tyson actually did the thing that no one thought he would do, which is show some restraint. There was a couple times where I was like, oh, right here at the end, he'll kill him. Like the 10-second.
Yes, I was waiting for it.
And it was at the end of the fight, and you could tell that he was like, oh no, like this went in the distance, we're good. And I was like, oh, he's being like cool about it.
He's being respectful. And what's interesting is Tyson afterwards, they said, well, how do you feel you did? And he goes, I gave them a good show. He kept saying that. I gave the audience a good show. And just apropos of what you were saying earlier, like that's really what that was.
It was. And he was always cognizant of that. I'll never forget, like I've talked to him a few times now, but the first time that I talked to him at length was when he came to my show in the green room, and we talked about putting on a good show. So Mike Tyson and I were talking about, I was talking about boxing, and I was asking him his opinion on this fighter, that fighter, all these, you know, and he was super down and very honest. And he talked to me about how certain fighters who will remain unnamed don't put on great shows, and how he's like, they're boring, and he doesn't really, he goes, but I was always a showman.
Yes,
like
indeed.
I know people want to see a knockout, so I'm trying, that's what, like, part of the reason I'm trying to knock people out is, yes, to win the fight and have it be over, but part of the reason is because I know that all these people are here to see that.
Yeah.
So he's like trying to put on a show, you know. Jones did say afterwards, he was like, those body shots hurt like fucking shit, man.
Well, could you imagine? Oh
No.
my gosh, getting hit by Tyson's got to be horrible.
And Jones is notably, I mean, they're close in height, but like in weight and in build, they're not. You know, Roy Jones Jr. was not a heavyweight. Mike Tyson was a heavyweight.
Wow.
So when you're fighting a different weight class, it's really different, the power that can be delivered.
Do you imagine? Oh, that's right. They said Tyson lost 100 pounds for the fight.
100 pounds?
Yeah. I heard that too, and I was like, that can't be factually.
I don't think that's accurate.
He kept on saying
Yeah,
that he was getting in shape for the last like year or two and lost 100 pounds.
Damn.
I mean, Tyson
And when I
looked,
did see him last, he was like notably overweight.
but he looked amazing. He looked like he was 35 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness.
And he was also super hyped up after the fight, which was actually scary. He's like, we're going to do this shit all the time.
Yeah, that was rad.
He's like, fuck humanity. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
I don't even know what this
juiced.
means. So he was real juiced.
What I really enjoyed was the age factor. It was exciting to see older men doing this. And in fact, I would encourage older boxing. I would like to see 60, 70-year-olds box. I think it's way more precarious because the whole time you're like, oh, he's going to get really fucked up, you know?
You want to see
I would love the
seniors fight?
I would love elderly boxing, and I think we should start to do it. Look, there's
What? You want-
female boxers now. There's female MMA. Let's do geriatric fighting. I think that's really the next move.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What can we get?
We can get Larry King and Ed Asner.
Oh, that's a great. Wouldn't you love that?
I don't know that would be a good show. I mean, it could be if like you want to just see somebody, die.
Just break. That's what I want to see.
Hello, and thank you for watching that highlight. If you want to see more of those, we have them. They're provided for you. So enjoy. Just do a deep dive like you're trying to study us. Click on these and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, and then they'll just be delivered to you. You can watch them when they come out. Please do it.